Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I do
How's
like
that?
Portland,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
I
Prost is awesome. I was you just brought that up, and I'm like, ooh, I still have my punch card here. Like, I think in this room, I have my Prost punch card somewhere, and it is
Oh man, I got my pros punch card somewhere too,
you
yeah.
should
We
give
need to go
me
back, Will.
Will. You should give me yours. You should mail me yours,
bro. No, I'm getting that plaque. That's happening.
dude. We should probably explain what this all means. We're live, by the way, so this is good.
So I just moved from Portland, Oregon, and Andres, we just kind of traded spots. In other words, I'm now in the Midwest. Andres is now in Portland, and they're one of my favorite bars of all time. A place called Prost, and it's
It's
a
so
German
good.
bar. And they gamified it, which is like the smartest thing that any bar could ever do. They have these like little punch cards, and like each time you fill out a punch card, which is not it's not easy. It's like 50 punches, so you have to drink a lot of beers.
And
You
and
like
they're like they're pints.
they can be, yeah, like the big ones, like
Okay.
you're gonna get drunk on those. And like the further you go, like the cooler shit you can get. You like start with a t-shirt, and then you get like a hat, and then like maybe a hoodie, and then you can get like a plaque, and then you can get a stein with your name on it. And one of the coolest things, one of my buddy Jacob Baines sold books for 2 summers, and on his plaque it says, Jacob Baines, I will persist until I succeed. Epic.
Scroll mark 3.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right, and that was
In
the
the morning,
inspiration for
young
this
bulls are
podcast.
trained
That
to
was
say,
Hey,
that was the inspiration for this podcast.
Absolutely.
Actually,
yeah.
yeah, that's
I've heard
very
that
true.
story many times without talking to the other people involved. So thank you so much for being here.
yeah.
Will Metscher, Andy Laws. It has been a pleasure to grow up with you two in the business. Yep, let's raise a glass. It is a long time coming, this conversation. We've tried to schedule this more than at least 3 times. There's
I
been a
think like
kidney
six, like
stone.
5. Yeah,
Yeah.
kidney
Oh, yeah.
stone, and then
What all threw it off? I know
Will
Will's.
had a kidney stone. You had
Will had a
what
kidney
now?
that's a legit reason. And then Andy's just been a little,
Oh yeah.
sketchball.
Oh, and I
I
gotta
was
go back
probably
and
moving myself. In fact,
let me
I'm
see what
over
my
here in
excuse was that day.
Gainesville.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
see.
It was a Tuesday, so whatever one you have for Tuesdays.
Yeah, what's my Tuesday excuse? Hold on, I got it here somewhere.
My
Oh,
cat
man.
died. It's got 9
But-
lives.
So yeah, let's
Excuse
just
for
know
7.
that excuses were made, even though we're all about no excuses in the
Oh.
southwestern world.
I took a hockey puck to the side of the head. I
Oh
was on
yeah,
Percocet.
that's
Oh,
right.
that's right. Yeah,
That
but that's
was-
the side of your head. That's not your face.
Yeah, dude,
Hold on.
I got stitches. I don't know if you can see that, but
Damn.
I'll send a picture to the group.
That's your Tuesday
That's-
excuse. That was a Monday.
That's
What
my
the hell?
yeah.
gross.
Every Tuesday taking slap shots.
Kidney stones, puck to the face.
Unbelievable. And then I don't
Yeah.
remember what else happened. Something happened on our end.
I mean,
think we had to-
I was doing
Yeah.
something.
Something
I don't know
happened.
What's going on?
we double booked on our end, I think is what happened.
That
One of
is
the,
what-
Yeah,
one of the
there's
times.
a lot of awkward moments about making this podcast happen. So thank you for being here. I just want to talk you both up for a minute. If I'm recounting my stats correctly, Andy, you spent 6 summers slinging books, right?
That is correct.
And Will, you spent 8. Is that correct?
9. Close.
Oh, I knew it was one more than Brandon, right?
Yeah.
So
course.
yeah, 2 total legends, 6 and 9 legends from the force, from Mizzou. Those Tigers are something right there out of Columbia, Missouri. You guys were always people that kept it real. I always loved looking up to you guys in the business. I learned a lot. In fact, I knew I was doing well as a first year in 2013 when I gave a door demo to Will, and he's like, "Hey man, you did a great job of selling the sizzle, not the steak. You're gonna have a great summer." And I'm like, "Wow!" And you're wearing like this lanyard with SpongeBob on it, and you're just like a total goofball. And
Yeah.
I don't know, you guys were top producers, hitting PC, selling tons of books, both in Louisiana and the Northeast, Maine, Pennsylvania, all over the place, man. You're killing it in the Southwestern consulting realm, and I'm really, really happy and proud to be connected to 2 amazing people. We're also blessed to have you on this amazing podcast. It's been an awesome journey. So yeah, let's dive right into it, man. I don't know if either one of you want to talk about. One of you can choose to go first.
Well,
How you actually got recruited to this crazy thing that we all did. But who was Will and Andy as a young 18, 19, 20-year-old in college or maybe even older, getting convinced to go halfway across the country to knock on some doors with no guarantees?
yeah. And who do you guys got recruited at the same time?
No.
Mm.
Nope, they
So
finished at the same time.
let's go with who got recruited first. Who?
So
Well,
I started first.
okay, go ahead, Will.
Uh, and it's funny, like Nick, your story of us being able to interact for the first time or in sales school is a lot different than Andy and I's interaction at sales school. We hated each other his first summer, and then Merkel, our sales manager, thought it would just be a grand idea if we lived together. And I'm like, you're a piece of, put me with Andy. That kid sucks. Anyway, we'll get to that story. It's pretty fun. It's kind of like, anyway. So yeah, freshman at University of Missouri, and I was actually talking about this with my fiance, and it was just kind of a unique, like, man, if that wouldn't have happened, like, where would we be? And I was like, man, I'd probably be living in a van down by the river. Like, there's no idea what I would have done outside of selling books. But one of my best friends, my roommate, freshman year, and his girlfriend at the time, they'd actually both been recruited, both decided to go out and sell books. And they'd already told me exactly what it was: door to door, 80 hours a week, straight commission. It's going to be so great. We're going to be in a different part of the country. And so Merkel I got referred to our student manager twice. And so I remember he called me up and I was like, oh yeah, Anthony, right? Yeah. Like, I love this idea. It's super cool. I'm glad that, Ryan and Angela are going to be doing it. I just got summer school and I'm double major. I just got a lot of stuff going on. I definitely want to do it, but I want to do it next summer. And we all know how that goes. And I appreciate the fact that he second approached me and he's like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Well, your two friends, they're going to be doing it this summer, so you should at least come check it out, see what it is. It's like, man, that's a great idea. Of course. And then, go to the info, get incredibly fired up about it, like cancel all my summer school classes like that day. And I'm like, let's do it. Like the whole time he's like, on scale of 1 to 10, where would you be as far as like excitement to do this? And I'm like, 12, let's go. And naturally I'm like freaking the hell out the whole time, but I'm just like pretending to be stoked. Fast forward to that first day. So we get all stoked, excited to be able to going with my best friend from high school, his girlfriend. This is going to be great. They both quit on the first day. Oh. They both bail out. They're just like, not for us. And me being, Sammy Southwestern first year, I'd already turned off my cell phone and like threw it in the trunk. And so I didn't hear about it. I didn't know about it until that Sunday, and I'd already had a good first week. And then I found out that they'd quit. So luckily I decided to, keep going. And, here's 9 years later, and obviously the career that I have and all of you humans, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for, good old Angela and Ryan deciding to do this.
To dig in, bro. And Andy, we'll hear your story here up next after this. But because same question for you if you want to expand when we talk when it's your turn. But like when you get to sales school, because I remember when you were saying you would have ended up in a truck by a river. Were you like not like, what were you like? Were you just not as disciplined? Were you like, because obviously as I know you now, you're like one of the sharpest humans I know. So if you're saying you think you would have ended up in a truck by a river, what was that change, or how did it help you grow?
To clarify, in a van down by the river.
Oh, in a van.
Man, I think honestly, It was just a lack of confidence. And, I didn't do a whole lot in high school. I had this big old hilarious fro like after, senior year. And my, experience was just band and that was it. And so I'd never really done anything hard. I went to the same college that I like grew up in the same town and worked at the grocery store, like just a typical freshman, didn't know anything. Yeah, there it is.
For
Hey,
anyone
that's
not listening right now,
send that in the
you can
group
check
chat. I'll
out
share the
YouTube
screen.
video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's
Send that in the group chat. I'll share the screen.
It's coming.
And so I think it was that was it. It was like I wanted to prove to myself that I could do something that was hard and that was going to kick my ass. And so whenever I heard about it, I'm like, man, that sounds like it sucks. I should probably at least do it for one summer.
Yeah, that's cool. That challenging mentality, that put yourself through something hard mentality. Damn.
Where did you sell that first summer?
I was in Connecticut and Rhode Island.
So pretty fast paced compared to Missouri.
Are you guys seeing this?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I need to see this picture.
Why isn't
You
it?
gotta make sure.
I think I got it right here, right? There it is.
There. Oh my
There you go.
God, dude. That was you?
Oh yeah, that was me.
The Brew Crew.
Rocking that fro.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Matt
sorry,
Atchison had a
but
fro
also
too.
something it's just,
What is
Living
that face?
legends rock the fro growing up. It's just the thing
Wow.
to do.
What is that, Will?
Yeah.
Columbia, Missouri is a weird place, but I understand why you would act that way, I suppose.
Imagine this person. Imagine this person showing up to your front door at like 8:30 p.m.
Man.
Just
You got a haircut. I know
got any
that.
kids?
It was just a natural
What's up,
ladies
Miss Jones?
deflector. It was like, oh, you want a girlfriend? Okay, well, grow this fro, and that definitely won't happen.
Oh, damn.
Fantastic.
Dude. Oh, brother.
So that's funny. I mean, growing up in a town in Missouri that's like, kind of slower paced than New England and doesn't have the same totally different culture. I mean, Connecticut and Rhode Island, man, that's like as different from Missouri as you can get. What was that culture shock like? Tell us about that first summer.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it was very fast paced and people were to the point and they actually needed you to sell them on why they needed something like that compared to certain, states that Andy and I have sold in before where it's basically like, what you got? Come on in. And you're like, it's books. And they're like, oh, we need books. Let's do it.
You had to sell them on why they needed a bigger paycheck from their job to afford those books, right?
Yeah. So I think that was a big part of it, was just learning to adapt to a completely different culture, fast-paced culture, and learning the rejection piece was huge my first summer for sure.
Damn. So, all right. So let's pause there, Andy. Let's hear you. So who are you? Or let's see pictures of you. Embarrassing pictures of you.
All right, well, you're up. Go find him.
We'll find him while you
Look around real quick.
What happened to you? What was your recruitment story?
Yeah, we were both recruited by Mr. Anthony Merkel. Let's see. I was recruited in the spring, and I was in my chemistry class when I filled out a questionnaire, make more money, and all this stuff. And I had a pretty sweet summer job coming out of high school. I was a lifeguard at Hurricane Harbor at Six Flags, but I'd climbed my way up the ranks, and I was a supervisor at the park, which, whatever. It was a good summer job still. And I was pretty set on coming back to doing that, but I'm like, whatever. I'll hear this out. Can't shut anything out. And I get a call, and I'm pretty sure this is like a Thursday or Friday that I get a call for showing up for the next week. And I'm pretty sure I'm already inebriated when I'm answering this phone call when Anthony calls me. But we set up a time for the next week, and I'm like, all right, I'll be there. Totally forget about it. But he calls me that day. Whatever. Okay, I'll show up. And Caleb Rich, another awesome book guy, sold for quite a few summers. He ran my info session, and I remember there was like someone who was talking through the info session, like kind of just being like almost like a heckler, like, you know, just like everything. And they just kicked him out of the info session. I'm like, okay, this, they're, you know, they're okay with like just kicking people out. But I was still like skeptical on the front end. I'm like, who are, you know, I still don't know these people. Who are they? And I don't know if you guys ever like just, this is like total tangent right here, but there was a song that I had just learned about that weekend that I'm like, oh, this is such a good song. And it was Finally Moving by Pretty Lights. I don't know if you guys know that song, but at the time it was like, this is a jam. And they used that as like the final song of their info session. And I'm like, it's a good song. All right. I was at least open-minded at that point. I was a little skeptical, but like, that's actually one of those things that I'm like, all right, they've got good music. I'll at least come check it out. Even though it's a ridiculous reason, I went and met up with Anthony, and I was still skeptical, but showed up that night after my first follow-up. And it was a good follow-up. My parents are telling me, like, I've kind of told them about this at this point, and they're like, oh, you probably shouldn't do this. My fraternity brothers, oh, you probably shouldn't do this. And I'm like, all right, you know, maybe I shouldn't do this. And that night, I go to a Led Zeppelin cover band concert, and 4 or 5 people behind me is Anthony. Yeah, Anthony Merkel. But I don't know this. How I find this out is actually really funny, because I'm there with one of my good buddies. We're, you know, just jamming out. It's an awesome cover band actually, called Zoso, and there's this very attractive human, like 3-4 people over from me, and you know, me and my buddy are like kind of looking over at her, and like, all right, because this crowd is like old, crusty, white beard, like old people are jamming out to Led Zeppelin, and then there's just this smoke show, and I get a text message, and Anthony is like this is the first time, like this is our first text message outside of like confirmation of meetings, is like, dude, that girl to your right. And I'm like, Anthony Merkel, what? And I like turn around, and he just like waves at me, and I'm like, what the heck? All right, guess I'll show up for day 2. And I was like going cold at that point. So all right, I'll go. I mean, at least to just talk about the show, I'll show up. And the more I talked with him, the more I'm like, okay, this is probably gonna be good for me. Doesn't necessarily sound exciting, but it sounds like, you know what, this is way outside my comfort zone. And yeah, so that's kind of how I, you know, and the rest of the process. I mean, you guys know the recruiting process. I was, you know, like, all right, let's do this thing for the rest of the way at that point. But yeah, that's how I got introduced to the Southwestern world.
That's crazy that you say that, because one of my favorite, I've got a lot of lessons that I've learned from Anthony Merkel. We actually won a beer pong tournament during a Frizzler some years ago. So shout out Anthony. We never got along, in complete honesty, and he's kind of like an abrasive personality type. Oh, look at that.
Oh, there we go.
Photo of Andy right there. That's not embarrassing. You got a lady in your arms right there. Who's that guy?
Steve-O?
Yeah, Steve-O with like a brain injury.
Actually, this is a great picture. So, funny story about this. I was house sitting, and we threw a party in the house that I was house sitting at.
And that's the picture from the house party?
That is a picture from a house party that's going on.
Wow.
That I was house sitting at.
Check this out.
They know about it, so if they listen to this, like, it's all good now. We're still cool, but yeah.
Tell me you're white without telling me you're white is this polo right here.
I mean,
tell me you're white, but tell me that you're
2006,
cool.
right? Dude, that's mid 2000s, man. Like that is.
Oh yeah.
You're crushing. That's like that's like the height, because that's when Eminem was like really killing it for you guys.
Yeah.
That was.
I don't know, man. Did you have too big of a cool card during sales school that you couldn't even rip it?
I totally did. Will can tell you.
I feel like this is the story. I feel like we're
cool card.
Real quick. I did want to say that.
You were saying something about Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony. One time during GRS, I think it was like his last year. He didn't even coach kids that summer as a DSM. But during GRS, he's like, okay, as you're recruiting people to sell books door to door, it's really hard to sell an internship selling books door to door. So just pretend that you're like telling your friend in college about the coolest concert that you could possibly invite them to, your favorite band. And so right next to me was Shane Blick, who's currently a DSM. And I'm like, dude, you need to come to this Led Zeppelin concert to like experience the glory of Robert Plant and what's the Page guy?
Jimmy
Robert
Page.
Jimmy Page.
Jimmy
That's
Page.
it. Yeah, so they're guitarist and they're singer, and the fact that you like went to sell books because Anthony was at a Zeppelin cover band, that to me is just like some sort of like full circle in my life right now. But that's pretty awesome. So let's talk about when you two met. I'm not sure if you want to talk, Andy, real quick. Where did you sell that first summer? That was with Will, wasn't it?
Yeah, we both sold together. We
All right, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
yeah.
This is the
do you wanna...
how I met your Andy story.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
you can start, Will.
Yeah, I mean, I never had really fully interacted with Andy outside of just like a couple campus meetings, and you know, Mr. Cool Card Andy were out in the parking lot.
Hang on.
And,
Pause for a sec. Cool card for people listening who are not because we have some non-Southwestern people listening. So cool card is when you're too cool to be coachable at the training. When you first go out to sales school, it's the people who are like totally uncoachable because they're too cool, and so they give them a cool card, quote unquote, because they're so cool that they don't even need the cool card because they're so cool, right? So Andy is that kid.
Yeah. You know, and he was in a fraternity and just kind of, you know, went to an all dudes school in high school, and so like he shows up to sales school, and not that he wasn't trying hard, like I'll give him that, like he wanted to do well and all that, but we were supposed to be like I don't even remember what it was. We were supposed to be studying like the intro or the close, and he wasn't doing that. Like he was just studying something else. And I remember I walked over to him and, you know, politely was like, hey man, I think, you know, do you know like what our schedule says? And yeah, I think we're supposed to be working on the intro. And he was like, yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm going to do this. And he's like, okay. And then like walks away. Yeah. It was kind of one of those got it, chief moments, just wanders away.
Thanks,
like,
pal.
Piece of shit. And so like the rest of sales school, like this kid's going to suck. Like he's going to quit and like, he's not going to do well.
He's going to go home day one. He's gone.
Yeah. And then like meantime, we're like going through them with Merkel, and we're like planning out who's going to live with who. And he's just like, yeah, so I think I'm going to have you live with Andy. I'm like, oh, really? Like, this is going to be my summer and you're going to put me with this kid that's going to quit? Like, that sucks. Like, he's not coachable. And so I remember, and Andy, you can fill in any blank spots, but so I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I'll be coachable. I'll listen. And you have our best intentions. So, and he was, you know, he's talking Andy up. He's like, I promise, he's a good guy. He's cool, dude. Like, he'll get there. I'm like, okay, fine. I trust you. So we're driving out, and I think it was one of those, it got to be pretty late, you know, because we were heading out to the East Coast. We were heading to Pennsylvania that summer, and it was like one of those later nights, and we'd like stopped at a hotel and we were going to pick up some food. And so we were in the same car. And I remember we just started this conversation. We both didn't really want to be there. And somehow we got on the topic of video games. And he was like, oh, you play Diablo? I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, actually, do you play this? Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Have you played Assassin's? And we just like kind of started going back and forth.
Nerds.
And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I hate this guy, but he's kind of cool. And like from that moment, it was kind of one of those, it's like, shit, okay, fine. I'll talk to you. It's kind of one of those stepbrother moments.
Yeah, well, it was funny too, because you're like, "Oh, you play video games?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I mean, a little bit."
Oh, a
You know,
little bit. Yeah, that's what it
it's like
was.
we don't want to
It's
open up
like,
about
yeah, a
it.
little bit.
It's like we're trying to be reserved, but then like we would get on topics of different games, like, "Yeah, I play that like a lot." Yeah.
Was it from then on? Was it pretty smooth? Like how that summer go?
Yeah.
Like how was it for you
Um,
guys, and how did you guys bond over?
yeah.
Because I mean, you guys are best
Well,
friends, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are really good friends at
yeah.
least, right? Like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
You know, what do you think went well?
So, I mean, our first summer where we were living, I guess we'll just kind of get into the whole HQ situation because we had another roommate with us. His name was Luke Clifford. Dude was awesome. Like I loved Luke, and he was a first year too. And so Luke and I are just kind of figuring this thing out together. And Will is, I mean, like Will comes out of the gates hot. Like so Luke shadowed Will day one, and like I'm out like figure it out, right? Just get out there, bang on some doors, go mess up, and then I followed Will on day two, and Will just starts. I mean, yeah, Will started off hot, but our dynamic at the HQ is pretty cool because like we were in this mansion in northeastern Pennsylvania, probably 30, 40, 50 miles off of the border of New York. Um, and it was a daughter and a son. Daughter was like college age, just out of college, who had sold books. Did she sell for 1 or 2 summers?
She sold for
Nope.
like 1.25 summers.
Oh,
Yeah. So like she had sold books, so she like got what we were doing. And then there was a son in high school, but like the owner of the house, like our host mom, I didn't meet her that summer. She was living at a lake house with her boyfriend. So it was me, Will, Luke, this like college age girl, and the son for the whole summer, which was a pretty interesting dynamic. And this house was awesome. Like the were we on the third, fourth floor?
Yeah.
Was there a
Something
fourth
like
floor?
that.
It was
there
I
was
something
think
a
we
like
were on
that.
the
fourth
Like,
third
floor.
floor. We were
yeah,
on the third floor.
we were on the third floor. I don't know because I mean, like I felt like this house just kept on going up. But either way, it was a cool house. Um, and yeah, I'd say like we got along pretty well because we just went to work. Like Luke and I, like to be fair, Will was a great student manager to live with because he was on schedule and it did a good job of keeping us on schedule. Um,
Hmm.
yeah,
What
our group
summer?
worked hard.
What summer? I missed this. What summer was it for Will? And what year was this?
It was my
Number
fourth summer.
4.
Fourth
My
summer.
fourth.
So what year was that
And
for you? So in 2010? No,
11.
yeah, 11.
2011.
And man, I was like locked in that summer. I hit PC my second week,
Crush.
and I'd never hit PC.
That's 600
Um,
units or about $3,500 of profit.
yeah.
$4,200 of profit. Today's dollars. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
my third week I hit 800, and I ended up hitting PC like 9 times that summer. And
Whoa.
man, and I think
Consistent.
it was, and I think the consistency came from just the all-out ridiculousness of living with Andy and Luke, and just
Yeah.
how much fun. Like, yeah, we definitely did go
Yeah.
to work, but we had so much fun in that HQ, and we had so much fun with each other and just screwing with each other, and just like the games that we would play with each other. And
Yeah.
um,
A- And I mean, you were going through some stuff too. You had broken up with your girlfriend on the book field,
Ooh.
yep.
and I mean, we don't have to get in that, but either way, like the fact that you were just plowing through it, I mean, I think it just adds to it, to be honest. But we had a blast. Like we'd play. This is a pretty common game in Force and probably throughout the company. Is like the one up game, right?
Bigger and better?
Bigger and
Yeah,
better.
you guys
Yeah.
play that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's the best thing you got from Bigger and Better?
I want to hear. I do, after we tell ours. I want to hear what you guys had for bigger and better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And for people
We
who
had
did not sell books, it's you get like a. Okay, you can explain it as you tell the story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like you start with something small, like pen, paperclip, whatever, and then each person you talk with, after you have attempted to sell them your books, you just to keep yourself sane and have fun with the job and keep it light, you try to trade this thing up for something cooler. And like some people will trade you ridiculous things, like sure, take this. And we would wind up with everything from slinkies to I think Luke came home with a motorcycle helmet at the end of it. But Will's was my favorite.
So real quick, so before I think this is an important caveat here. It got to the point where we didn't do like the 1-up thing. We just tried to go collect random shit all week. And so yeah, Andy, keep going.
Yeah. So and we do this like sometimes you do it just like once throughout the summer. We're doing this. I think we did this quite a few times just because it was so much fun, and just to see what are people coming home with. There was one time, and this is actually kind of sad, but I found there was a bat that I had captured, and I put it in my car, and I'm like, I'm gonna
like
take care
a
of this.
living bat, not a
like a living bat.
There was a live bat, and we're like on week 6, 7 now, and I'm just like, whatever. This is gonna be what I come back with today.
He wanted to like feed and like take care of this bat.
Yeah. Oh, next door I knock on, it's a berry farm. I'm like, cool. Can I get some berries for this live bat that I have now? And here's where it gets sad though. Bat does not make it. does not make it home. And so it's still in my car though. I'm like pulling in.
Still to this day.
Kill the bat.
I killed a bat. And
the EPA or FEMA's gonna come after you.
Oh yeah, hopefully they're not watching. But I'm like, okay, well I got this bat. I'm not gonna put it. I think I collected something else that day that I used for like the bigger and better. But I had this bat still, so I like opened Luke's car door and I put it on his driver's seat, and it's just like wings out, like. I'm like, this is just gonna prank him. We also pranked each other a ton, and that was a memorable one. I left a dead bat. I remember like watching him on that one, but
yeah, you lost
a pretty good one. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I met this like army vet guy, and he gave me like the tip of his like gun, like the bayonet, like the little knife thing. Yeah, and he like gives it to me, and he's like, "Yeah, this came from Afghanistan or something. I don't remember where it was from." And he's like, "Yeah, I killed some guys with that," and he was like proud of it. And I was like holding it, and I'm like, okay, sure. And then took that home and told the guys, and I think Luke like used it to like make his PB&J or some like, something crazy like that. Yeah, good times for sure.
Oh my God. Dude made PB&J sandwiches with a bayonet that murdered people. So that's it's only on the book field.
We had some fun. Yeah. Many stories around.
Nick, what do you got for bigger and better?
I'm going to be honest. I never played that game.
Oh, no.
I know. In fact, I still knock on doors this day, and I might as well do that this upcoming week. So thanks,
Nick, you got to do it this week.
Absolutely. I'll come back on Thursday.
We want to see it.
With our next episode on Thursday, I'll have a good story. So.
You know what you should do? You should do that, and then at the end, you should do it for the whole week, though. Total, not like once a day per week, but like the whole week. And then at the end of each day, we'll post what you've gotten on the Instagram page.
Oh, that's gonna be fun because I always heard great stories from other people. My fun that I had on the book field was just like telling jokes, and then also like taking selfies with their dogs when we were still having our tablets on doors. So I still had a ton of fun, but yes, we're gonna play some bigger and better
in November. In November, the folks at Ponytails Podcast are going to encourage all our listeners to. I just came up with this idea just right now to do the bigger and better game in their own neighborhood, and whatever they get, they can donate it to a family in need, or something like that. That would be cool.
Sure.
Like
so real quick, Nick, just some advice from some experienced bigger and better people. You need to like kind of like tell them some of the things that you've got, because if you just say like, oh, just like, yeah, just anything weird, that doesn't work. They're like, I don't know, how about this like paper clip?
right?
Yeah.
And then
No, it's
show
like
them, right?
what's something cool that you're willing to let go of? What's something really cool that you're willing to let go of?
I normally
That's
say
kind of what I'd ask.
weird.
Wait.
Cool or weird?
Cool
Yeah.
or weird. And then you can like tell them like, yeah, I know this one guy that got like a bayonet. This one guy, like he got like a
Yeah.
pet bat. And, like you
Shane
can
Blake.
tell them
Shane Blake got a
things.
MacBook Air.
What?
Yeah.
That's great.
So ask him how he did that.
My-
Don't listen to Will.
My
So,
second
Andres, what
summer.
about you?
Yeah, I did this with the summer I sold with Danny in Massachusetts. Our second summer. The biggest thing I got was a printer and a TV. I got a TV, and we had so it started out with just like a paper clip, or I think like just like a rubber band or something, and then upgraded along the way. I got some really interesting things. A kid, I showed up and I had a pogo stick, and he gave me his scooter, and that was fun. And then we kept building from there until I got to a printer, and then the last switch was for a TV. And on the way back, Danny also got a TV. And so we were like, what do we do with these TVs? Because our cars are full of books and stuff. So we had to like just dump them. So we just dumped 2 perfectly good TVs just because we couldn't fit them on the way.
Were they
on the-
actually good TVs? Or
Yeah,
were
they were-
those TVs that had like the big, like
The fat
back?
TVs.
One of
big
them was a
old
big
fat
fat
TVs?
back. One of them was a big old fat
Okay.
back, but we had like, it was like a 42-inch, like, that wasn't big TV, but it was
Yeah.
a TV.
Yeah,
like
right.
like a
Right.
flat screen. Yeah, it worked. It was awesome. And it was super interesting because I'm like, oh my God, you could just keep doing this until you get a Tesla or something. Like you could
Just keep going.
There's stories.
There you
of
go,
that.
Nick.
Yeah, that's a real thing.
Oh man, I think
All right.
Nick, you're on a mission.
We're gonna have the best week I've ever had, period,
Yeah.
in work ever. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And yeah.
no, you were saying, Andy?
Yeah, I was just saying, like, and Nick, as you posted on Instagram, you can have no explanation for whatever you post. You save the stories, right? Save the stories for the podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
Dig
Yes.
It's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Dudes, okay, so hold on. So walk me through you guys' like careers as you were growing up, like, or maybe like or maybe some highlights of your career, because 9 summers are, I mean, we could have a 15-hour episode and not get done with like all the things that we could share about this. So like, what would be like if you had to say, man, this was a highlight, proud moment in your careers as you guys were going through the experience, through the internship?
Yeah, I think. I mean, again, we can talk about numbers and hitting more. Bringing out 12 people, multiple summers, ASL. Like, I think at the end of the day, and this sounds kind of cheesy, but like the highlights were, now some of my best friends, like knowing you guys. And I recruited Daniel Bercaguero, my second summer. And Dan is actually Andy and I's, one of our best friends, and I got to be in his wedding. And so like, being able to have that experience, and then he sold for 6 summers. And so, yeah, I mean, the simple highlights, like I feel like that's a huge one. And the fact that we all still get to work together, like we're not selling books anymore, but we all still get to work together at consulting. And, I think it's such a cool experience that we're still able to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well said.
that is spot on. I mean, yeah, there's some cool moments production wise, recruiting, and getting team members on Sizzler and hitting stuff, PCs and all that. But yeah, I mean, I met my wife here, which is a very common thing that book people say. But that's
I want to
actually
hear
kind
that
of a-
story because I was
Yeah, well-
I was there to witness that story. I'm just gonna say that real quick.
Yeah, we'll definitely circle back to that because it is a good story. But yeah, like, and even just personally, like I mean, I'm sure I could find some certain moments that like made a difference in me, but like Southwestern it did help me grow up in a lot of ways. Like who I came in as to this program is not who I exited as, and sure, that's just getting older and whatever, but it changed my perspective on a lot of things. And yeah, and I think ultimately, everyone has their own experience selling books, and it's not always it is what it is. But for me, I think in many ways it was kind of what I needed. But
Hmm.
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people feel that way. I mean, even if they're not less, even like you said, not everyone's super positive about like their experience. But at the end of the day, like I don't know who pointed this out to me, but it always stuck with me. It's like, would you be mad at the person that recruited you, looking back, even if you hated it? It's like, no way. I'm so thankful to Steve Thyden, right? Because I mean, what came from that, I recruited my brother, and then he met Aisha, and now they're married and they have a baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? What if Steve had never
They're
said something to
impacting
me?
tons of kids too, man. They just made Nebraska top 3, top 5 in the world for the second year in a row. It's cool to see what
Yeah.
your legacy is.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
But it goes
That is
up. I
really
mean,
cool.
you can keep going up. Like, who recruited Steve and who recruited that, and it's just like it's just interesting that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you were if you hadn't gone to that concert, Andy, and Merkel hadn't been there, I mean, would you be here? And you have a kid with the wife that you met,
yeah,
selling
yeah. He would just
books.
be, yeah, not
Like,
real.
what a
I mean,
wild
those
thing.
pivotal moments like in life and how, and I think so many people that have done this crazy thing, and gone out on the book field, like, those kind of like those keystone moments that truly like impact your life for the better. And, again, like if it wasn't for Southwestern, we wouldn't have started like this business fraternity on Mizzou's campus. It was a sales and marketing business fraternity. And if that hadn't have been started, I wouldn't have met my now fiance. And, if PSC wasn't there, like we wouldn't have gone to, the country of Georgia to spend time with a former president of PSC. And it all stems from selling books and just that one decision of like, sure, let's risk it all. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get in the habit of doing the hard thing or choosing to do the challenging stuff. We could
Oh,
talk
yeah.
about what you guys are up to now, but I know recently you both also competed in that mutter, right? Like that tough mutter in
Oh, Spartan race. Yeah.
the Spartan race, yeah, in Hawaii. Like, how did tell us about that? How the heck? I mean, how did you even choose to do that? That's crazy. It sounds like it was excruciating.
It was.
Yeah,
It sucked.
yeah,
Andy, you go for it.
yeah. Well, we had done one of these before. We did a Spartan race back in 2016. This was before both of our last summers selling books, and that was, that was tough. And we had kind of gotten away from it. But why we decided to do this, I don't know. Like we wanted to challenge ourselves physically, and they're fun. I mean, they're obstacle courses. Like you can kind of get into like a kid mentality and go like, let's do monkey bars and like let's swing on. I mean, but it was tough, but it was cool. So we signed up for 3 of them. There's this thing that they call a trifecta, where if you do all 3 of their races, which is a 5K called a sprint, 10K, which is a super, and the half marathon is the beast. You get pieces of a medal, and they all fit together to make a. There you go. So like that is a third of a medal right there, that all goes together. So we had one of them before, and we're like, man, we got to go do a trifecta. And we had other people that were like shown interest. Jake Osowski did all 3 with us, which is pretty awesome. And then we had some other people kind of like coming in and out for races that they could do. Andrew Williamson, I know Sean Brifo did a race, and
Right.
Brandon
Brandon
Key.
Key.
Yep.
Brandon Q, yeah.
Did
Yep.
Danny go with you guys on one of them?
He did. Yeah, Danny
did.
Gamboa. In fact,
Yeah.
there were some other Force people that joined us in Las Vegas, like Shayna Short and a couple other guys, and it was a good time. But anyways, yeah, this last one, the one in Hawaii it's the toughest one we've done. It was insane. It's like 4,000 feet of elevation change over the course of
Wow.
13 miles.
I think the thing that
yeah,
sucked about it, the thing that was challenge, and again, like it's kind of one of those like you do it, you know, we have a pain tolerance, and in a sense it's like you do it and then you're like, God, I'm never going to do something like that again, and you finish it and you're like, we should do it again. It's kind of one of those. But we didn't train for the elevation change, which that was our bad. But Hawaii, they had like missed a shipment of like all the electrolytes and like the goos and the gels and everything. They had water stations, but it was a 14-mile, like it took us like 5-6 hours to complete, and they had like none of that stuff. It was just water stations, and so we didn't pack enough, you know, electrolytes to be able to finish. And so we're just like, you know,
Cramping.
asking people like on the race, like, hey, you got an extra one of those? Like Andy somehow got this lady to give her like half of her PB&J to him, and then we like shared it.
I think she saw me, like she was just eating it, and I'm like running by, and I think I'm just salivating watching her eat this peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and like I don't say a word, and she just looks at me and is like, you want some? And I'm like, I mean, are you really offering me that? And she's like, yeah, here you go. Like she had plenty. And I'm like, yeah. So she gave us half of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and then we split it. And that was a game changer.
Clutch.
It's like asking for food in the book field.
Yeah. Throw back to those PB&Js from the book field. Man, thousands just demolished.
Get a granola bar I can buy off you for a couple bucks.
Yeah, can I give you $1 for a granola bar? Oh, keep your money.
Oh man, what's that taste like?
What's that taste like? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's a chocolate chip cookie. Yeah, that sounds great.
Is
it good? Oh, I see what you got over there. Like, it was like, I was such a fat kid over the summer. It was great. That's why I had to do, okay, time to get weird. And I know all of you guys have like weird things that you ended up eating on the book field. Like,
please share.
You know, first summer, you're like mixing like top ramen, like trying to make like the most epic ramen.
Oh yeah.
I put on like 20 pounds. I felt like my first summer, because I would just take a giant jar of peanut butter and jelly and just like into the night, like stress eat, just scoop out like both of them and just like nomming on the PB&J without the bread. And so like my third summer, I'm like, I got to do something different. So I did peanut butter and turkey sandwiches, because, you know, in my brain, I'm like, oh, protein, like, let's do that. To this day, I still will like throw together a PB and turkey sandwich every once in a while.
You made me one here in Portland.
It's not bad.
I think, once.
Don't knock it until you try.
No, I think you made me one. That was pretty good.
I'm pretty sure I did. Yeah.
For breakfast once, because I stayed the night at your place.
Yeah, that's right. And I was like, PB and turkey, you got to try. Or was it peanut butter and pickles? It was PB and pickles.
I don't know. You made me something and you said I ate this on the book field, and I ate it.
I'll try that one.
PB and pickles are good.
I got you. Here's what I did. I would get, and this is actually not gross, but this was weird for sure. No, it was gross. I had to go those cans of chicken, like you know, you get tuna cans, but you have like the chicken.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know, and I would buy like a ton of those. And during like you know how you stop to eat your lunch and check out pre-approach or whatever, I had sriracha, Lay's or Doritos, and mayonnaise, and I would inside the can mix all of the things and then just like eat it. But the thing is, the mayonnaise stayed in my car all summer.
Oh my god, dude! Don't stop talking. Please share more.
I did not refrigerate.
Oh man.
So yeah, it was that was my gross thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I did was I did my first summer, I did like turkey wraps with tortillas and everything. It was just mustard, little shredded cheese and spinach with turkey. But then at night I would just binge on just like eating nothing but PB&Js with trail mix just loaded on top of that, and just like it would just fall apart. But I will say this: Fluffernutters, introduced by the area of New England. That's peanut butter and marshmallow fluff. Definite delectable treat right there.
In Vermont, they put Nutella on it too. So it's like a s'more.
Yeah, all right. Oh, okay,
I like it.
okay.
I like it.
So change gears real quick. You guys have a lot of stories to tell from your time on the book field. I know that there's plenty of memorable things, whether from you guys working hand in hand together. I remember hearing a story about like going to an island in Maine to sell books just off the coast there. After everybody wrapped up their summer in your organization. Maybe I'm misremembering something, but yeah, I don't know if you got any stories like that one specifically, or other things from Louisiana. I've never sold there. I've only driven through it and, spent a couple weekends in New Orleans. What are some standout stories? Because I know there's at least a handful that either one of you can share from. Either of you take it away.
So I think it's funny that so I listened to Yvette's stories and they were so proper, and you could tell that she was just working her tail off, and I remember her crazy story is her door fell off and then she just kept working. I'm like,
Yeah,
that's such a Yvette thing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll keep it mostly. I don't think we have anything too crazy weird. Well, that's not true. Andy, how about you start and then
Okay.
I feel like Will's trying to determine if he should tell a story or not.
Yeah, there's clearly a story here. So let's.
I mean, the gold bond story is going to be that.
Yeah,
that's the showstopper.
Andy, you tell one. Maybe we can tell the stolen customer one after that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, God. I know, if we start with an easy one, I've had some good, our fifth summer, you were selling in Texas, I was in Louisiana. And we, I could tell the one where we went tubing with my customers, stuff like that. Or I was thinking maybe talking about deliveries my first summer when, our host daughter was throwing a party. Let's tell that one.
Yes.
Okay, so end of the summer, right? This is week 12, 13, 14, whatever.
We're delivering.
We are delivering. Summer's over. We're mailing out green cards. In fact, I vividly remember us all in one room. I'm laying on the floor cranking these things out. Luke's next to me. Will's there, and you just hear this club music going on in the house around you. And it's all right, there's a party going on. When we got home, Luke and I walk in and parties in the whole house, beer bottles everywhere. And we get to our table where we do our BAR, our business activity report. It used to be done by hand on paper. Yeah. So we're sitting
old
at
times.
the kitchen. Yeah, the old times. Did either of you have to do that, or was it always?
That was my first and second summer.
Your first and second summer, you guys had that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So filling it out, and in the center of this table, which had not been there clearly all summer, is an ashtray, and it has a little roach in it, and
like a cockroach.
Luke and I look at it. No, like a cockroach.
It's it's kind of like a sandwich. Put it in your
it's like a sandwich. Yeah.
Have some sandwiches.
So Luke and I both look at it, and we look at each other, and mind you, Luke and I were both very. I would give us good grades for being on schedule pretty much all summer. It's deliveries. There's that there, and Luke goes for it. Nothing left, but either way, he tries it.
So it wasn't even a real roach. Damn.
It wasn't. I mean, it kind of looked like it could be, but we were pretty desperate at that time. So either way, we're filling out our green cards, and party's going on, and our host daughter just barges in the room. Door flies open, and she's like, "Well, my friend wants to sleep with you." And
Whoa! How old was the host daughter? In college or high school?
She was in college.
She was in
Okay, I
college.
was a
She was
little
in college,
concerned.
yeah.
So it's like
Yeah, she was in
same
college.
age-ish.
Yeah, yeah, same age. And you know, Luke and I
Will
are
did
like
not
looking at
have
each
the
other
afro
like
at this point.
he did not have the afro. I mean, he's on point right now. And so Will is I mean, you can tell Will is struggling with this decision. And I mean, first year's in the room, and like Luke and I are like looking at each. I mean, this is late in the summer, guys. Like this is, and Will's single, freshly single since being on the book field, and Luke and I are like, what's he gonna do? And Will did nothing. He did. He was. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah.
The right thing. I did the
He did the right thing. That's it.
That's the
He did the
word.
right thing.
He did
Integrity.
right?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, integrity. Yeah.
And
Did
then
not
like, okay,
Do
so
that.
also keep in mind, like, your brain on books doesn't resonate like when, you know, it comes to like talking to people of the opposite sex, like that far into the summer. And so like my brain is like, oh well, she wants to, great, if not, that's okay too. And I was just like, oh sorry, like I think I'm gonna keep working on this stuff. Like I didn't know what to say. I'm just like,
Well, you
I
should have seen
remember,
Will's
like-
face after he said that. Like the whole room is silent, and Will is just like, I mean, like he's just dealing with that decision that he made, which was the right decision, but still a tough one at that point. But yeah, you handled that very well.
Bravo, Will. Way to have some
So that
integrity.
happened from Andy's perspective. Either you could tell the same story or a different story. It doesn't have to be as raunchy, but it could be just as spicy.
Okay.
We're airing at 10 Central. You can be as spicy as you want, baby.
This is it's very true. Okay, so that same summer, I do have one other story that doesn't have to do with selling books in Montrose, Pennsylvania, but we torched that town in a very positive way. We all did really well. And anyway, so Andy, this is like week 7 or 8, and like he was doing well, and Merkel had Andy follow me. And so of course, like we're having a blast. We're having all kinds of fun on the book field. And I remember I go down this road, go to the last house, and I'd like had pre-approach. I was like reworking the area, and I knew that this family had kids. And so I knocked on the door, and, you know, for those of you who didn't sell books, like we follow each other. So of course you can like learn from other people. And so Andy is like 10 feet away from me and not like looking at the door of the person. And he's just kind of like looking up at the sky. And the mom comes to the door and she's like, oh yeah, like selling books, like Southwestern. And I was like, oh yeah. Have you heard of us yet? And she's like, yeah, I bought this summer. And I'm like, this summer? Like, oh, was it like a couple summers ago? Because like people will say like this summer, and it was really like 4 years ago. Like,
right.
It all blends together. And she's like, no, I bought this summer. And I'm like, oh, are you sure? It was like, was it a kid from Nebraska or was he from like Minnesota? And she's like, no, it was this summer. It was actually, yeah, it was that kid over there. And like points to Andy. And
He's like,
Andy is like staring off at a tree. And he like just kind of snaps to and like looks at the lady, and he's like, oh hey. And I'm like,
yeah,
wait, what? And you know, and so I like back up a little bit, because in my head I'm like, this lady is my turf. Like, how did this happen?
So I want to tell this part, because like how we got to this situation is hilarious. I was selling books in my territory, come across a grandma who is like, oh, you know, sure, the books are great, but my kids are all into computers. I'd love to buy them some CDs for their birthdays. And I'm like, all right, well, here's our CD packs. We have this one or this one. And, you know, we had the college prep stuff, but their kids were younger. So I'm like, you know, there's this blue pack for little guys. And And then this one for older kids, I'm like, oh, we kind of have both. And I'm like, well, we can get both. And she's
Nice.
like, no, how about this? Swing by my daughter's house, show her these, and I'll buy whichever one she points at. I'm like, all right, cool. And like it was on my way home. And this is at the end of a work day, so like 9:30, you know, driving in these backwoods, following GPS,
In my
stop
territory.
in Will's territory. And like that's why I didn't recognize this place because I was there at like 10 p.m. and this was like 1 p.m. weeks later. And I'm like, oh, we are at that same freaking house. And so she bought a CD pack, but that's where we're at. Now, Will, you can take back over and tell the rest of the story.
So yeah, she was like, yeah, we bought like the, Oregon Trail, something like
Yeah,
that.
whatever
I'm
it
like, oh,
is.
you bought the CD pack. And she was like, oh yeah, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I'd love for you to join our Families for Education card. And it was, names list of customers. And so I'm having her fill it out. And as she's kind of filling it out, I'm like pointing out, I'm like, so by the way, like, are your kids like middle school, high school? And she's like, oh, I got some like all ages. Go, okay, cool. Well, you might know. And I'm like starting to like name drop a little bit, and like talking about a couple other people. And she's like, oh, yeah, I know those people. And I'm like, well, by the way, like we have these bigger books that are more for helping out with homework. And, it only take like 5 minutes to explain. You want to take a quick look at that too? I mean, you already got the CD packs. And she was like, yeah, okay, sure. And so like she turns in as she's like going in, I'm like turning and like smirking at Andy, and I'm like, oh yeah, like going in.
Fuck you, dude.
Yeah. And so like he's like sitting in the corner, like watching, like kind of like a pissed off look at his face. And so I'm going through the whole thing, and she like gives me an objection, and I like answer the objection, and she's like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we should get those. And she goes in the other room, and I'm like filling out the order form, and Andy's just like, glared at me. And the best part, so she ends up buying, and we're like in the car, and he's like, I feel like I just introduced you to my girlfriend at a party, and I proceeded to watch you take her home with me, just like that customer.
Yeah. And then I had to watch. What are you talking
And I had to
about?
watch.
I had to be in the room.
Nice, dude.
And so the whole time, like driving, like the whole rest of the day, I'm just like beyond stoked, just like screaming out the window. I'm like fired up. Man, it was
Somehow I didn't quit. It's amazing.
Damn, dude. You survived. That was the bonding story. That's how you bonded. It was that one
Oh, yeah.
customer. That's hilarious.
That's a big one. Yep.
Dude, that's epic. So, okay, let's hear that you had another story? You said you had
yeah, I do. So I have just curious, what's your guys' relationship with Gold Bond?
Oh, are we going to that story?
Yeah, I
let's-
mean we can do,
Oh,
or should we save that story?
I feel like, I mean, if that's a showstopper, that should be the pony story at the end.
Yeah,
Okay.
Andy, I think that you should tell a story now.
Yeah, or we could tell. It's
Okay.
it's an open mic. We could tell a story. We could talk about what you guys are up to now. Maybe find a way to like talk. Tangent into
Gold
back
Bond
to
later.
Yeah.
Gold bond
Tell
later.
us about your job's post Southwestern advantage.
Yeah, how'd you get to what you're doing now? Unless you have more stories, it's your call. It's your mic. Dealer's choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we probably have a few more good book stories, but we can go whichever way you guys want.
Let's do.
Yeah,
Let's
what are you
do.
thinking?
Let's do the stories after before Will tells the Gold Bond story, because I do want to hear some more funny book stories. That's kind of the point of the podcast. But I also
Yeah.
want to give you guys a space to talk about what you're up to now, and kind of plug whatever you're doing.
For sure. Yeah, I got a few good stories. So let's see. My third summer, I'm actually kind of back overlapping my first summer territory at this point. So I'm back up in northeastern Pennsylvania, but in some different school districts too. And I was in Turner. Actually, just kidding. this story is in Maine, Turner, Maine. Um, and there's some Tyson chicken factories up that way. And one of them was getting ready to get sold. And they had kind of like, they had let this thing go to complete uh, shit, for lack of a better term. Um, and this whole place just kind of was run down. And since they were selling it, they started to clean it up. And so they took all this out, and there was this swarm. And when I say swarm, I can't understate this enough, of flies that basically took over the town. And I mean, it was god
Oh.
awful. And it was the grossest thing ever, because I mean, it's these flies, and they're just like, you pull into
Oh no.
every house I would pull up to, it would just be boom, 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 boom on the side of my car.
Were you
I
talking like
hung up.
horse flies
No,
size?
no,
Or-
they were like normal house flies, but they were a little more triangular. Like they had these like angular wings. They just like a little
Yeah.
triangle whenever they would land. And
Oh.
it was the grossest thing. So like on my nightly CSF stats, we had a Google Doc going that summer where it's like you'd type in, I was, collecting people's stats, typing in whenever I'd put mine in. There's a little notes column, and I eventually started telling a story of how like I met the Fly King today, and they took me in as one of their own, and how like just every day it was a continuation of a saga. I wrote a story that summer about my relationship with these flies, and it was it was insane. I hung up fly strips, like those little pieces of tape that you can just hang up in
Yeah.
your room when you get flies. That was in my car. And like it wasn't just me, like this was on the news. It was like canceling graduation parties. It was like a little epidemic of the town.
That's
Um,
insane.
yeah,
Hold on.
yeah.
This is in
So
Turner, Maine. What year is this?
Turner, Maine. This is 20, let's see, 11, 12, 13, 14, 2014.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
curious.
see if you can find a fly story in the
I'm
news
looking
from
it up.
2014 in Turner, Maine. Still had a good summer. Like it was a lot of fun. Um, and I worked away from that as fast as I could. Uh,
God,
I have another.
it's so gross, dude.
Are you finding it?
I'm trying to look for it.
Okay, yeah,
Go on. I'll bring it up
The
if I find it.
dreaded black fly.
yeah. Fifth summer though, I'm like, all right. We went to Louisiana. I was
Oh,
living in,
favorite
and
state to sell in.
are you being
That or
sarcastic,
Maine.
or are you?
No,
Yeah,
I
you like Louisiana?
loved Louisiana. I loved. Yeah, I'll say
I
why in a sec.
Okay. I did okay there, but man, and I met some of the coolest people there too. But like Louisiana as a state, like I was in Calcasieu Parish, which is the southwesternmost parish of Louisiana.
Southwestern or
And
southeastern? Weren't you southeastern?
southwestern. Nope,
Were you?
southwest. Yeah, that's like towards Houston. We were living in Houston, the western side of Louisiana.
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
Good. Yeah.
yep, yep.
Geography
So,
Parishes are counties
yep.
for those who don't
in
know,
in
parishes in
Louisiana.
Yeah,
Louisiana.
Louisiana is the only state that does this. They divide their state up into parishes, which, yeah. Um, I am
Some
I'm having
people's
a pretty
kids.
decent summer there actually, and I pull into this house, and it's one of those driveways where you pull into it before you know what house you're pulling up to. You know what I mean? It's like the house is kind of tucked behind some trees, and it's like, all right, let's just go down this one. No pre-approach, and it's a single story ranch, has probably four, maybe five cars in the front lawn. Um, Probably none of them work, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm already heading this way. We're doing this, and old guy comes out, like looks like total non-prospect, and I'm like, I'm clearly in the wrong spot. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. He's like, oh, uh,
Ugh.
we have a first grade grandson. I'm like, sweet. Well, this is what we're doing, and like their grandson lived with them, and I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about this. And like he opened the front door, and it was like hanging on by one hinge. It's like it opened at an angle, and it's like, all right. And I go sit on this couch that I can only assume was pulled out of the closest dumpster they could find, and this dog that is just like mangy like comes, is like trying to get pet. And I love dogs. And so I'm just like, all right. And grandma comes around the corner too, sits down next to her husband. We're talking about books, and she's wearing a nightgown. And she sits down on the couch facing me and is not wearing anything underneath this nightgown. And you can tell that because of how she's sitting. And so I am just maintaining hardcore eye contact with this woman and this man, and just like not saying anything, because like they seem like non-prospects, and they probably should have been. I probably should not have sold them books, looking back on this whole situation. But they're like, no, we have like, we have some money that we can put towards this. We've been saving up a little bit, and it's for our education. And the grandson comes around the corner, and he's a good little kid, and I hope that they got use out of it. But going back to this dog comes up to me, and I can visibly see fleas jump off of this dog onto my leg during the cash collection part, where like, it's like I'm not going to say anything right now. I'm selling 1 through 4, and this is probably putting me over stake day or something like that, and I'm just like, just gotta keep a straight face. There's visibly fleas jumping on me, and they came through, but I had fleas for like 2 or 3 days after that.
Dude, you have to take flea medicine for dogs.
Yeah, no, I just take baths and I just pick them off me, and I should have. Yeah, just right on the back of my neck, right?
That's gross.
That was really gross.
Yeah.
By the way, back to the fly thing. Apparently, baby oil is a secret weapon to combating annoying black flies.
Yeah.
Is that right?
There was like a Vine of TikTok or an Instagram reel of like this girl, like she put like something in like a giant jar and then poked holes in it, so then the fly, and like within 24 hours it got huge. I found something that says Turner Selectmen egg farm aggressively handling fly infestation, July 8th of 2014 on the Sun Journal, but it's not saying it's in Maine. It says it's in Turner.
Yeah. No. Okay. So I literally just Googled it right now. Turner residents want egg farm to control fly infestation. This is from WMTW. I mean,
I'm on the sunjournal.com. Yeah, that's Portland, Maine. Yeah,
that's really gross.
This is
disgusting. Really gross, dude. Can we not continue talking about these flies and change the subject? No more fleas.
But did you guys hear this? Did you guys listen to Danny's episode? He had a story about how there was a bunch of gnats in a cupboard, and it was similar to this in his HQ.
Oh yeah.
Go back and listen to that episode. It's disgusting.
There's the plug. Listen to the episode. Gross.
Yeah.
That was a pony story
gets
for
me
his.
excited
It
for
was
it.
like the showstopper.
We should tell our dog stories, dog bites.
Oh yeah, you guys both got bit.
Yeah.
We both got bit. Same summer.
Dude. Yeah.
His was worse.
Yeah, we gotta hear about this.
All right, Will.
So,
dude, I remember when that happened to you.
My headphones just died.
All right, Will. Dog story. You got this.
Mine was pretty intense. It was an English Mastiff, and I was just chilling out, like having a conversation with like this high school senior, and this big old dog is just like posted up, just staring at me on the porch, and it never barked, and it just started trotting out like after me. And just like, it was walking up to me swiftly. It wasn't like charging me or anything like that. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, well, it's either a friendly dog or I'm screwed. And it just lunges at my face. And I like stick up my arm, and he bites my arm. And I had to like punch him in the face to like let go. And I ended up grabbing like the back of his neck and having to like hold him down. Anyway, like, dude. Long story short, the people weren't that friendly, and so I had to like call an ambulance and like go to the anyway, I ended up in this like hilarious small town in Texas, and ended up in like, it wasn't like I was okay. It just got infected, and they like didn't do a good job of cleaning it. And so, and it was a challenging summer because I had to learn, like I was getting like physical therapy done, and I was also going and see the surgeon, and that was like 2 hours, hour and away, like driving to Houston, and still had a great summer. And
Damn.
I had like a week of being able to sit there and without being able to work, and like, okay, I need to be able to accept where I'm at and enjoy ESPN, because what else am I going to do for a full 2 weeks? Yeah, man, it was intense. But 9 summers, like I'm not afraid of dogs. Like that's such a freak accident, like selling books. I was never fearful of dogs. And so like,
That was in Louisiana, wasn't it?
it was in Texas.
Texas.
Yeah.
I remember that when that happened because there was something about it on the Sunday meeting. Or something. I remember, and you like had a picture of it, and it was
gross looking.
It was gross. Yeah. I remember we talked about that. It was
Yeah. I was trying to look for that picture. Will, do you still have it?
Yeah, there's a picture of it somewhere. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I can like dig it up and find it, but we went from like gnats and flies to like gross dog bites.
Yeah, this episode's going all over the place. I don't mind it. We can do whatever we want, baby. Whatever we want. Whatever your heart desires. Andy, you got bit?
Yeah, I got bit. Thankfully, it wasn't like as bad as Will's, but it still. I mean, it broke skin, needed stitches or whatever. But I was during deliveries. This was my third summer in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and it's a freaking weak customer. Like shouldn't have even taken this order. Exactly. Weak customer. I'm like knocking on their door, like no answer. I got their books. They got like all the kids' books and like just like holding it all. Like, you know how heavy those totes get when you're carrying all 4 or all 6 books, all the kids' books, CD packs. I'm like, come on, please be here. And they're not. So going back, and I don't hear anything. I'm just walking back to my car, and then I hear it like just a split second. I hear just footsteps, just. And then chomp on my arm, and I look down, and I'm like and I like swing it off with the momentum of my tote, and like this thing is like still like trying to get at me like after it bit me, and I'm just like using this thing as a shield, and like as it gets close, I just like pop it in the face every time, just boom, boom, and I hit this thing probably 3 or 4 times as I'm like backing up to my car. No one's home. Their dog is loose in the front yard, and I'm like, and like, there's not really any neighbors, and so like I'm able to back up to my car with this tote, and finally, open my door, throw it in, like jump in, and dog's like scratching the side of my car, like I'm like, this dog is crazy. Anyways, I leave, go to the hospital, get it cleaned up real quick. During deliveries, when you have like 100 deliveries to do in a day or whatever, and I'm like feeling so behind, but it was fine. I come back around there and talk to like their neighbor who bought books, and they're like, oh yeah, that dog bit someone else too after you, because neighbors went home, dog's loose, so the owners just came home and just shot the dog. I'm like,
whoa.
I'm like, damn, yeah, just like
some old yeller shit.
Yeah, just like boom. All right, cool. That dog's not around anymore. And they didn't come through. After their dog bit me and I got stuck with a hospital bill,
assholes.
They didn't buy their freaking books. I'm like,
what?
Dude.
Yeah. I'm like, you kidding me?
First of all, that story took a jump. Like, that is not where I thought your story was going to go.
Yeah, right.
And then they just shot it.
Yeah, and then they just
casual.
Dog, yeah. Boom. Yeah.
Oh, damn it. Another one. Bop.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. But apparently it was tied up around back on had a stake or whatever, and finally this dog just got loose from that. Like, I don't know if it broke the chain or whatever, but this dog was just like, all right, I'm gonna go out and just eat whoever I see. And I was the first person that saw it.
You're looking like a snack, baby.
Oh,
as
I was
always.
looking like a snack out there, as always. Yeah, so that's my dog story. But how about you guys? You guys ever
Twice.
had any encounters? Yeah,
Chihuahuas
twice.
each time, and I wanted to punt them.
Okay, ankle biters.
It was stupid too because it was at the time where you're already in the house and it just won't shut up. So you're like, I'm gonna try to make friends with this. Nick talked about this, I think last episode. He's like, I just make friends with dogs until they love me, and I was like, I had that mentality too, and both times it was Chihuahuas. And I tell you what, I love all dogs, but Chihuahuas can go to hell. They are the worst dogs.
They have a special circle in hell for sure.
Yeah, dude.
I did get bit. There is a scar that you can barely see now, but it was way.
Ooh,
way
look at
worse
that bicep. You've been working out,
Hey, damn.
My best day on doors in the book years was when the day I got this scar. I was like almost late to work. I just bought brand new shoes at Walmart that morning, and it was like 7:30. I was like leaving Walmart, and I'm like, I need to knock on a door before 7:59. To be honest, I wasn't knocking on doors by 7:59 most days. That part of the summer, it was like week 8 or 9 or something like that. And I was like, I'm gonna do that today. And so I pull aside to a house that I knew there was like some kids involved. I didn't have proper pre-approach, but knock on the door, and I was like, 7:59, got it in, let's go. And I hear, all three big dogs jumping at the door, and they're like, I'm just like, whatever, fourth summer, doesn't matter. Dogs are like, whatever. And someone answers and opens the door, and they all come rushing out, and one jumps at me, and I kind of push it aside, and then, other comes around me, and then this last one jumps at me, and I'm like, I put my hand up, and it goes chomp, or my arm up, and it chomps on my left bicep, just real solid there. And I have to like throw it off, and I have my brand new shoes on me as I'm running away from these dogs back to my car, because it's like a really spread out home and front yard in Vermont. It's a beautiful area. My shoes come flying off, so I'm like wearing nothing but socks, just like huddling in my car as the dogs are like barking and running around my car. And the dude who opened the door was actually the son of the parents who own the place, and his sister has a kid. That's who I'm trying to sell books to. And I'm like, I rolled down the window a little bit. It's like, get the dogs, man, like get the dogs. And I need to get my book bag and stuff because it's at the front porch. And so I get out and go get it and all this crazy stuff. And he's just like, has no idea what's going on. And he's just like, oh man, I'm so sorry. I don't live here. I'm just visiting my parents. And you're selling bugs? Like, what are you doing? Like, this is weird. And so I go on and, get it cleaned up at the next house and get a sale before I wind up going.
Cali girl? Is that what they sounded like? You did.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. He was like not even close to aware of what was going on. But I wind up selling like someone before I wind up going to the police department. I was like, this is so bad that I might as well call you that. And she's like, yeah, thanks for calling me. Last year, Will Metscher had a giant dog bite on his arm, and he kept working, didn't get it treated. And so he was out for 2 weeks. And so I was like, okay, I got it treated at the urgent clinic, and then had, something like 3 customers back to back that all bought big packages, and then had a 4th one to finish the day out. And it was pretty solid. So never forget.
Dude, hell yeah.
Never forget.
So boys, it's 11:30 East for Nick, so we can sneak in what you guys are up to, or we can have you come back in another one and share that at that point in time and get into this Gold Bond story. What do you guys think? I'm Gucci to go, but
what we do is it's pretty easy to be able to explain. I mean, you guys have had a lot of other Southwestern consulting folks on, and it's basically taking all the good principles from selling books and, taking it and training and working with professionals now and helping them be the best versions of themselves. And, I love what I get to do. I know Andy does too. And the fact we all get to work together is such a cool thing. But yeah, we can get into the Gold Bond story. So this is Louisiana. And I love Louisiana. some of the coolest, nicest people. And it's like such a cultural shock to like what I'm used to. Like people living in trailers is like a normal thing. You know, there's like tax benefits for that. And like they eat all this crazy like boudin and like, you know, pickled pig's lips I tried. And you know, I'm out in like Cajun, like Creole, you know, people are trying out for what was that show? Crocodile, like the where they would like go out and like catch the crocs or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about?
No.
Not at all.
Okay, well, it was like this show where these guys would like go out and like catch gator. It was gators. They'd like gator hunters or something like that. They were like trying out. People from my territory were like trying out for that show. And anyway, this is like 4 or 5 weeks in Louisiana. Swamp people. That's what it was. Yes.
Which adds to Louisiana.
It's totally Louisiana. It was great. And I loved it. Some of the coolest people.
Yep.
But we would use Gold Bond, you know, because it's like you got to stay fresh, and you know, Gold Seal, Gold Bond, it like helps you succeed. And so in my brain, when I was selling, I'm like, okay, well, Gold Bond helps us do better, and so I'm just going to use a whole bunch of it. And so like each day before we would do our execs, I would just unload this Gold Bond to the point where I'd be able to like jump up, and when I hit the ground, there was like a puff of white, you know, smoke that just like came out of my shorts.
Some LeBron James pregame.
Yeah,
shit.
LeBron James.
It was like that. It was LeBron James powder coming out of my shorts.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is great, you know, fantastic. That's how we're going to start our day and feel all nice and like cold and tingly. And so a couple weeks into doing this, I started getting this rash and on my privates. And so like, you know, it can go one of two ways. And, you know, it's, and in my head, I'm like, well, Gold Bond is either causing this or I just need more of it. And so naturally, being the good book dude I was, I'm like, I just need a lot more of it. And so I'm just like dumping Gold Bond on. I'm like, it's got to get better. It's got to get better. And so I'm like unloading. It gets to the point, like, it's like a Wednesday and it's so painful. I remember I had to like pull off on the side of the road, didn't know what to do. And I had like toilet paper in my car that I'd like taken from, you know, a gas station or something like that. And I'm like standing outside of my car. Like I basically wrap my privates with like this, you know, this toilet paper. And I had some tape. And so I like make this little sack of like toilet paper. And I still go to work because, you know, what else am I going to do? I'm just like, okay, like it's going to be a great day. And I like still go out there, but I can't like physically walk to the door without it like being really painful. So I'm like waddling everywhere I go. And I like waddle to the door, knock on the door and like waddle back and like reapply. And at that point I've realized, okay, Gold Bond's probably not helping. And so I'm like forcing myself through this day and I'm like pissed off. Like this sucks. Like this is painful. Should I just go home? And so I remember I go up to this house. I vividly remember this house. And so one thing about Louisiana is that it's like, it's still in like a weird way. It like parts of it out in the country, it's like still segregated. And you literally drive over the train tracks and it's like, you know, mostly minority, like Black people, Hispanics, and then you drive over and it's like the white population. And I remember I was working in this territory. And so like I walk up to this house and there's this old Black man, nicest guy ever. He comes out of his house and he's like a farmer and, you know, has like his overalls on. He's like, what are you doing, young boy? And so I like, you know, give my I'm like, I'm probably not in the right area. And so we keep talking and there's a fence in front of us and you can tell that it's an electric fence. And so I'm on one side, he's on the other side. We just keep talking, and and I end up like starting to get pre-approach, and I'm like, okay, well, further on down, should I skip him? And he's like, well, I tell you what you should do. And like as he's doing this, he leans down and puts his arm on the electric fence. It's like he forgot it was electric and gets like blown backwards. And doesn't fall over, but he's like, whoa. And he like comes and looks at me, and he's like holding his chest, and he's like, boy, I thought you shot me. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, so anyway, all you got to do is just go down this road, take a left. And I'm like crying in the car. I'm laughing so hard. I got this like sack of stuff in pain. And so it was like a total like mindset shift for me of, man, at the end of the day, like life's 10% what happens to you, 90% of how you react to it. Like, let's just have some fun. This is like such a crazy thing. I'll probably be talking about it on a podcast 10 years from now. Like, might as well just have fun and like, go live life and enjoy it. And I ended up having, I think I hit like 800 units that week and had like a great week.
Wow.
Dealing with, and I obviously ended up figuring out like, okay, less gold bond is probably the smart way to go.
Maybe wash your junk every once in a while.
I did that. It gets like 90 degrees at like 7 a.m. So it's like you kind of have
it's
to
wet.
use that.
It's wet.
It's totally.
Yep.
Oh, it's just, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
I can't believe people sell that far south in that heat, man. I was knocking for solar work with Nick in Arizona, and it was like 120 degrees outside.
Homie, that was the worst week of weather I think I've ever experienced.
I Googled it after we got home from work, and it was the hottest place on earth that day.
whoa.
And I was like,
Is it dry heat though?
yeah,
That's not a though. I just want to say that
It's
when
a
the
different
sun
kind of
goes
heat.
down, it stays above 100, and it's like
It's
you're in a
hot,
sauna nonstop. You're always sweating because it's above your body temperature. It's
True.
not better
It's
because
so
it's
hot,
dry.
dude.
It's more intense.
It was like being in a sauna, man. Like it was a sauna. It was the world sauna that day. It was like 2 o'clock, and we were knocking, and I'm carrying around this water bottle, and it's the hottest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And I was in the ghetto. I was knocking in the ghetto, dude.
Mexican ghetto. Guadalupe.
The streets were named in Spanish, not like it was Guadalupe Street. It was Calle Guadalupe. It was just not English. It was the ghetto, dude. I was like, what am I doing out here? Like, knocking on doors in this heat.
Just disoriented.
But it was good.
I mean, you just speak Spanish the whole time?
Yeah, it was every approach was in Spanish. And dude, I learned some stuff. I know we're wrapping up here soon, but dude, when you knock on a Hispanic's door, 95% of the time the kid comes to the door.
To speak English, right?
To speak English, and because like I don't know, maybe like they don't want to deal with like somebody who they don't want to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they send out a kid. Because I remember like that would make sense for me when I was a kid. I was like, yeah, I would be the one that would answer the door, probably because of the language. But it was a very new experience having sold. Because my entire career, I think I only sold to one Hispanic family my entire 4 summers of selling books. Because I was in New England and never really saw any Hispanics. But
oh man,
yeah, it was trippy. But Louisiana heat, back to that, that's wet, bro. It's a different kind of gross. It's like you didn't even have to shower. It would be so irrelevant to shower.
And they would like swim in the swamps, and like, it's like the water, like sure, like. Whatever.
Will, you remember when we hopped on like my customer's boat at the end of the summer, and like we just like went out onto, it was a little river, but it was kind of like a little inlet area where they're like, oh yeah, all the gators hang out over there, and it's like, you want to go see them? It's like, I guess, sure. And like we like put over there, and you remember seeing like 10, 12, 15 gators just like on the banks and like where this warm water's coming in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like
And then
I'd
we
see
went like
gators.
tubing in that water, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
remember
totally.
that? Yeah. It's like, all right,
I
who
had
wants to get
this
on the tube
kid.
now?
Okay, I had this kid. I'm like driving down the road. Megan Mazzoni's following me, and these kids are in this tree, like overlooking the water. And so I'm like, we gotta go see what's going on. Let's go check it out. And so we like pull over and like go over to these guys, and they're like staring in the water. These like teenagers, and they like point down in the water, and they're like, "You see that gator?" I'm like, yeah. We're like, yeah. And they're like, we're gonna try to wrestle it. Like, okay, yeah, that sounds great. But they're like, you see that over there? That's the mama gator. We're not gonna wrestle that one. That one's too big. This one's less than 5 feet. We can wrestle that one. And yeah, and so like that's just normal. They didn't. It ended up not happening. But like you just here's like, and it's great. I love it. Like that's just their culture, and they
It's
like
so
totally
different.
embraced it.
Yeah, that's the
Life,
thing.
man.
That's the thing about Southwestern, that like you learn how differently people live, and you're like, even within the same country, you're like, whoa,
Totally.
dude, like Burlington, Vermont versus like people in like outskirts of Boston, like different human beings, and they're 200 miles
Super
apart.
diff.
It's so crazy. It's
But humans are still going to be humans.
yeah,
All the same.
it's still the same
fears
smile,
and
slow down,
desires.
listen,
Same desires. Yeah.
Ask
They
good
want to help their
questions.
kids do better. Like, yeah.
they buy a lot of books. That's a cool thing. I think that the to learn about life, I think that's what Southwestern really can teach you is just like what life could be like, but just in a 3 month spell. So it's not like all super overwhelming, but just enough to make you go, oh, people are different, and I can learn to live differently, and I can be flexible. I can put myself through something hard. Damn,
Love it.
guys, this has been. We're gonna have to have you guys on with DBA back in some episode, and we got to get Meg Mazzoni on the list for October.
Yeah.
It's a good
You
time
guys
to.
got some good stories.
It's a good.
Oh
it's,
yeah.
it's a good time to announce. So in October we're doing female only guests in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And
Awesome.
so we have some pretty good ones lined up in the pipeline. There's going to be Courtney Buck is going to be talking to us after her marathon she's raising money for in London. So
Yeah.
she'll be coming to us live from London. So it's super exciting on the 3rd of October. That one's booked for sure. And then I've talked to, and at the very least it'll be Yvette again, but probably Yvette and Ingrid together in one episode. And her sister. That's gonna be a really, really good one. And then in November we got some people already. We got Grant Greeter is on the lineup.
That's
Dylan
great.
Buck's on the lineup. Aaron Schaefer has agreed to be on. So
Nice.
we're
So
working
that's in the coming months. Let's talk about this month real quick as
Yeah.
we close this out.
Nick, who do we got coming up in the next few weeks?
Yeah. First of all, Will, Andy, thanks for being on here. I'd love to stay in touch once again, get a quick follow-up phone call, see how the rest of life is going. But this Thursday, the 16th, we've got Griffin Mims from Nebraska coming on. Next Sunday is a solo episode with Andres and his former roommate, Manny.
Childhood best friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So he and Danny, his younger brother, spent that first summer of Danny's together, and then Steve and Ella Herlihy. Steve Herlihy is kind of a legend in the book world. I've never met the guy. I've just heard nothing but great things about him. Coming in on Thursday the 23rd.
It'll be our first married couple episode.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. We had an engaged couple earlier with Jake Lowe and Aubrey Bell. And then we've got I don't know his last name. Barry is someone that our new assistant Naomi met selling in Indiana this summer, and she was like, "You got to have him on. He tells awesome stories." We don't know a single thing about this guy, like where he sold, who he sold with, or anything. That's gonna be a fun one. Yeah, Barry. And then Alex Soto, he just finished his 8th summer. He went from like 2,500 units, 3,000 units to then finished off with 8,000 units this summer. Recent alum. It'll be really excited to have him on Thursday the 30th. And then, of course, we pick up with Courtney on the 3rd, Courtney Buck, October 3rd, and then that month of book ladies. So got to balance out this ratio a little bit. It's been a pretty dude-heavy podcast, but there's plenty of book book girls, book women to learn some lessons and hear some stories from. So we're excited for that month to come of October.
That's right. And to hype up this next Thursday's episode, Griffin is doing a lot of work in photography, and he gets to travel for it. So he has some crazy travel stories of things he's like seen and accomplished in his photography. Probably be sharing some of that on the air. So if anybody's listening, then that'd be a good one to tune into live or to watch the video of as well. So yeah, okay. Well, with that, guys, again, thank you so freaking much. This was so fun. I love each one of these episodes. I look forward to my Thursdays and Sundays because of this, and you guys have kept it in stride with having some really fun episodes. So if you're listening, follow us on Instagram. What are we on? Facebook, Apple Podcast, Spotify. Be sure to check us out and subscribe to the things. Leave us a review to all the things. And if you guys want to hear a little bit more about Andy and Will, check them out. They're working with Southwestern Consulting, and so if you need to find them, if you want to talk to them about what they do in their consulting business, please reach out to them. With that, I am Andres Gamboa Barrera, the host, and my co-host Nick was with me today. Andy Lass and Will Metscher. Thank you guys so much. God bless you both.
Peace, Thank you.
See ya.